Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know, from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars, topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
Welcome to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. I am your host, Jeff Mallon. With me is Marc Souza. We are going to be talking about the first preseason games of the NBA season to start off with this, and then the next segment we're going to way too early playoff predictions, and then we're going to go into more stuff on the way as we keep going on with this. Okay, so first things first, the preseason games. We had the first two picks in the draft, DeAndre Ayton and Bagley III. Go at it between the Kings and the Suns. The Kings had the victory, but Ayton had the better game with 24 points and 10 rebounds. What did you think of this performance by Ayton, the first overall pick?
Very solid. He comes in, obviously highly touted. A lot of people think that he's going to be the Rookie of the Year. He had a great first game against the Kings. Great first preseason game, I should say, for the Suns. Yeah, I was impressed. Those numbers kind of speak for themselves. When you look at it, 30 minutes, 9 of 16 from the field, 24, 9, and an assist. So, yeah, I think it was a good first showing for him. What did you think?
He definitely played very well. He played how the first overall pick in the draft should play. And he improved very well. He seems to be playing like how he did in Arizona. And when people say he's going to be Rookie of the Year, it's really hard to deny that. His height, his athleticism, his scoring ability. I mean, he can probably be one of the best. He's probably the best rookie scorer in the out of that draft class at the moment. Just not based off of 3-point shooting or anything like that, but just based off of points alone. He is very, very talented.
Yeah, and I think that, I'm not sure how you feel about the Suns, but their lineup is interesting. Assuming Ayton starts, of course, with Devin Booker. That's a nice little 1-2 punch. But other than that, Ryan Anderson, he's a deadly outside shooter. I kind of like that pairing with Ayton if he runs the 4 next to Ayton. So he could be it could be a nice little combo between Ayton and Ryan Anderson in the front line. And then Ariza, Jackson, of course. So the Suns, they have an interesting year. I could see them being a bad team, but I wouldn't be totally shocked if they're at least competitive.
Yeah, I don't see them making the playoffs this year, but I would definitely put them in contention for the next couple of years. They still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and then on the other side, the number 2 overall pick, Marvin Bagley III from Duke for the Kings. Not entirely impressive, in my opinion. 7 points on 2 of 7 shooting, 2 boards and 2 assists in 25 minutes. You just want to see, higher numbers even in 25 minutes than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously this is only the first game we've seen them. There's plenty of more basketball to be played in even the preseason alone. So there's still a lot to look at with these two. But having the two first picks in the draft go one-on-one, or the teams go one-on-one, that is, was very interesting to say the least so early.
Yeah, we'll see moving forward. I think the questions about Bagley are definitely bigger than the questions about Ayton. I think I'm fairly confident in saying that DeAndre Ayton is going to have a very solid, at least, first season in the NBA, whereas Bagley, his outlook is wildly different. He could have a good season. I could see him getting a 15-7 type averages per night, but I could also see him struggling to get minutes. An odd pick for the Kings, in my opinion. So we will see moving forward, though.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very complicated. Well, not complicated, but it's a very interesting situation to say the least. Just based off how we're gonna see these two progress throughout the season, this season at least. But I don't see either of these teams being playoff teams.
Oh, absolutely not. Definitely not the Kings. Pretty sure the Suns won't be there.
Mm-hmm. But we'll talk about way too early postseason predictions in the next segment. But any other games that caught your eye in the preseason?
Yeah, so I followed the Knicks. They defeated Washington 124-121. I was particularly interested in watching Kevin Knox, the rookie forward, who a lot of people might have as their, dark horse for Rookie of the Year. 13 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists on 4 of 9 shooting in 26 minutes. So definitely a productive night. 26 minutes, 13, 10, and 3. What do you think about that?
13, 10, and 3 really speaks for itself. That's pretty darn impressive, especially it was his first game?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, starting off hot, not to say the least. But I'm definitely going to be excited to see what else he can do for that New York team.
Kevin Knox was a player, I think some people were surprised to see him draft so high, but he definitely turned heads this offseason in Summer League. So he is very interesting. We'll see how the Knicks do. Obviously, I think a lot of it has to do with the health of Porzingis, but that is to be determined at this point.
It's really funny about Porzingis how New York fans hated the pick when he first got drafted, that kid crying and all that stuff. And now he's their star player. Just shows how much the owners know compared to the fan base.
Yeah, and I think that Knicks fans are just waiting for him to get healthy. Porzingis he's a giant of a human with skills that some guards don't even possess. So I like him as a player, in my opinion.
Yeah, but again, he's on a kind of a poor team, just based off just reputation the last couple of years. So it's definitely a we'll see moment. This is definitely a test for a lot of these rookies because they're going in as like the saviors of these franchises.
Yeah, and speaking of another rookie, last night the Hawks took on the Pelicans. It was the first preseason action for Atlanta. Trae Young, the rookie point guard, got his first minutes in the NBA in preseason. 20 minutes, 11 points, 8 assists, 2 rebounds, 5 of 16 from the field, and only 20 minutes of play. So I think it's a pretty decent performance. Obviously, he was 5 of 16 and 1 from 6 from 3, so not maybe the best shooting performance, but 8 assists is pretty
Definitely
nice.
had some struggles, but his passing was pretty good. He had trouble shooting the ball, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think he'll find his stroke.
Bread and butter is the long-range shot, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think he'll find that eventually, but it is nice to see him doing other things than just scoring because I think a lot of people kind of pinned him as just a, long-range shooter, but his playmaking ability, if he can provide that to the Hawks, then I think they'll feel very comfortable with the pick that they made.
Yeah, but again, it's a
bad team, though.
Yeah, it's a bad team. Well, a lot of these guys are bad teams. There's only like we talked about before, there's a very handful. We talked about in the sports podcast, there's a handful of good teams in the NBA.
And then a bunch of not so good teams, right?
I would say the majority are not good.
Last night, we also saw the 76ers play the Magic. It was the 76ers' second preseason game. Embiid played 23 minutes, had 21 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. So that's a very dominant game from Joel Embiid. Ben Simmons, 22 minutes, 9 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds. So, of course, another Ben Simmons-like game where he kind of fills the stat sheet but doesn't score a whole lot of points. We also saw Markel Fultz. He had 12 points in 24 minutes, 6 rebounds, and an assist. The Sixers, I think, in my opinion, looking at their team, they're very good, very young. But I think Markel Fultz will be the X factor. If he can take that next step, then I think the Sixers will be a very tough team to play in the playoffs, and they could make a run. What do you think about that?
Well, LeBron leaving the East, there's a wide open spot in the Eastern Conference, excuse me. But overall, I would definitely say there's more opportunities for other teams now in the East.
Yeah. And you look at their team, Saric is a good player. Embiid is obviously a very good player. Covington, Simmons, Fultz, and then you got a guy like J.J. Redick. So they got some experience there. I'm very excited to see how they do coming off of their really good season last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's they're getting close to the end of the process era, definitely. Getting closer and closer to that promised land in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you mentioned, I mean, LeBron leaving the East is the biggest difference this year than last year. It obviously means that a new team, a non-LeBron team, will be representing the Eastern Conference in the finals. And speaking of LeBron, tonight the Lakers will actually play the Nuggets. So the LeBrons will be facing off tonight.
Is that what they're calling them? The LeBrons?
I don't know. That's what I'm calling them.
Okay. Well, granted, they were the Cleveland LeBrons at one point, and now it's just every team is just carried by LeBron, but he's arguably one of the greatest of all time, so it makes sense.
LeBron's former team also plays tonight. The Cavaliers face off against the Celtics, and another former LeBron team, the Heat, play the Hornets, Grizzlies, and the Rockets. Raptors play the Jazz.
Do you think he's hated in Cleveland still, or do you think he's more, it's okay now?
He won a championship, so I think that he is okay with them.
Mm-hmm.
If he had not won a championship and then left again, I can only
probably
imagine.
But I think winning that, well, he could have won more titles.
He could have, but he won one at least. It's Cleveland. Like, let's not get greedy here.
True, but I would still be like a little bitter seeing he was leaving again. But like they did tear down his iconic poster once again off the building, the "We Are All Witnesses" one.
Yeah.
So that's gone once again, and he's going to Hollywood, not just for the Lakers, but probably for the publicity, for the acting gigs he'll probably get now.
And we're going to be talking about our way too early playoff predictions based on the seedings. Heading into the season way too early because we're still a couple weeks away from the NBA regular season. I don't want to give it away too early, but do you have Cleveland in there at all?
You know what? I will answer that when we come back. We will take a short break and then we'll talk about that. So hold on to your horses, people. We'll be right back right after this.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. We've talked about the preseason games for the first and second pick in the draft, as well as other teams such as the new LeBron Lakers and the New York Knicks. We're going to go into our very, very early and premature picks for the postseason and for the NBA. Do you have any dark horses going into the playoffs right now?
I don't know. Not from the West. You mean just making the playoffs or actually making some noise?
Making the playoffs.
In the Western Conference?
Any conference. The Northern Conference, the Southern Conference.
I'll throw Charlotte in there in the East.
The Charlotte Hornets. Think they will replace Cleveland in that little list, that eight place list.
I think so. I think I don't have Cleveland making the playoffs, so that leaves a spot open, and I think that the Hornets will take it.
Okay, I can see where you're getting at. But you also got to look at other teams in the East, like Indiana could take that 1 seed. There's a lot of options for the number 1 seed to take for that Eastern Conference, like Toronto was last year, but it could be literally anyone this year.
Yeah, well, I think we should get into it. Let's start off in the East and go.
All right, who's your 8th seed? Go.
Charlotte.
Okay, so that's your 8th seed.
Yeah, they're gonna get in. I don't think they'll do much, but I think they'll take that spot.
You know what? I'm going to take a huge gamble and say Atlanta is taking the 8th seed.
No way.
Well, that's why I said gamble.
No way. Wow. We will remember this. So that's good. I like it.
I'm taking a gamble.
It's
I'm taking a risk
ballsy.
here. Yeah, exactly.
It's ballsy.
Why would I? Yeah, like I'm not. Who else is going to take that? I guess the Bulls aren't.
So my number 7
teams.
seed is Indiana Pacers.
Wow, that low?
Yes.
Okay.
Where do you who do you have at 7?
At 7, I'm gonna. That's tough. It's just like we said before. It's so early to tell, but I think I'll go with the Detroit Pistons for the 7th seed.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. With the new addition of last year's edition of Blake Griffin, I think this team can make some noise.
Yeah, I mean the Pistons. It's hard for me to see. I think they're the hardest team to read in the East. I could see them having a good season. I could even see them being up in the top 5 or 6, but I could also see them kind of falling flat on their face, you know? I think they have a wide range of outcomes this year.
Okay, that makes sense. Who's your was that your 7th seed?
So Indiana was my 7.
That's right, and mine was the Pistons. So who's your 6th?
Washington.
Washington. Okay. I'm going any main reason why?
No, I just think that, John Wall's a good player. I think that they just have a good group of players. I don't know. I think they're just a decent team. I don't know if they'd make it in the West. I don't know. They probably wouldn't. But no, I just have Washington at number 6 for me. Who do you have?
I got the Miami Heat, with or without Jimmy Butler.
Okay, Miami Heat.
Yeah,
it's a solid pick.
Just because it's Wade's last season, and I think they'll want to win it for him, and they got some talent around him, so I think they can make a run. Just a low playoff seed.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. I personally have Miami as my next team, so I have them as my 5 seed. So we're pretty close there.
Okay, so my 5 seed, this one's gonna be Indiana.
Okay. Indiana.
Yeah, and from what I've said before, just how they don't have a lot of star players, but they just play really well as a team.
Yeah, absolutely. They were surprising to me last year, so I wouldn't be surprised at all this year. I mean, obviously, I have them a little bit lower than you, but yeah, I could see them in that 5 to 7 range. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, about. It sounds accurate.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So top 4.
Seed. Go.
Fear the Deer. I got Giannis.
This is the one we're agreeing on. I have them at number 4 also.
Yeah, and they're a team. I'll be honest with you. I like watching them.
Greek Freak's going to carry them to that 4 seed, though.
Yeah, I love watching Greek Freak play basketball. He is such a dynamic player. I feel like when you watch him play, you're always left with him doing something that's pretty memorable. So I see them they could possibly make some noise this year. I don't know if they get in the top 3. I don't know. But I could see them making it to the Eastern Conference Finals if some things kind of go their way.
Yeah, it could happen. You never know. So definitely a possibility in the matter of fact that the Bucks could be one of those teams to beat in the East.
Yeah, absolutely. Who do you have at number 4? Oh, you have Milwaukee? I think you said that.
I agreed with you on that one. Milwaukee at number 4.
Okay. So we're heading
Number
into the top
3.
3. Go ahead.
I'm going to go with the Philadelphia 76ers.
Okay. So you got the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah.
Do you see them as a legit contender to make it to the finals?
If everyone plays their game and their one of their number 1 picks doesn't just get 1 point in the playoffs in one of the games, I think they can make a run.
Okay. Yeah. I really like what they're doing. I mean, trust the process is finally coming to fruition after all those years of their fans just having to support that franchise. I mean, I totally understand the mantra of tanking and why you would do that, but it does hurt as a fan to go spend money to watch a team actively trying to lose. So that is not fun. But now they're reaping the rewards, and they're looking at a team that, like you said, they could make some noise this year.
Yeah. So who's your number 2?
Well, I don't think I gave you my number 3.
Oh, I thought you did. I'm sorry.
You said Philly. My number 3 is different.
Let me guess. Toronto.
Yes.
Oh, I'm good. I didn't even look at your paper. I didn't even see your paper.
I got the Raptors at number 3. I really liked them going after making the aggressive move of getting Kawhi. I understand it's only a rental, possibly, but I don't know. I think that with DeMar DeRozan and that squad, they were capped. They were always going to be the bridesmaid in the East. I think that
they were number 1 in the East last year.
Right, but regular season doesn't matter. Like, they always do well in the regular season, and then they just can't get past LeBron or whatever, right? Like, they just could not take that next step. So I think that they made an aggressive move. I like it. I think Kawhi is a better player than DeMar DeRozan, and I just think that, hey, they're going for it this year. Maybe after this year, it turns out to be a move where they're going to have to take a step back because Kawhi doesn't re-sign, and maybe they don't get a Kawhi caliber player back in the offseason. But I like the aggressive move. I have them at 3. I could see them being higher on this list for sure.
Okay. Well, for number 2, I'll let you pick number 2 now.
Yes, and number 2, I have Philadelphia. So you said it, and we kind of talked about it already. Young team, looking to make that next step. They could be the best team in the East. I think that with this year under their belt, I think next year they might be the favorite. But for now, I have them as number 2. What do you have?
Oh, sorry. Totally out of it. I'm going to have to go with number 2 is going to be Boston.
Okay.
I know Boston's going to be your number 1 because process of elimination. But I see them as number 2, and that means Toronto's going to be number 1.
Okay, I like it. So you really liked the Kawhi move then?
I think it's only going to benefit them. His elite defense is only going to help that team. It's not going to detract them in any way. I don't see why they can't make another run for the first seed in the East.
For me, I see those 3 teams, Boston, Philly, and Toronto, as kind of...
So we have them all up there. We just have them in different order.
Yeah, and I think that we can probably agree on this, that I think one of those 3 will represent the Eastern Conference.
Yes, absolutely.
I think Milwaukee is the next best team, but I don't see them doing it this year.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, though. If Miami does get Jimmy Butler, does that change your top 3?
No. He's not a guy that'll elevate them past those top 3 teams in the East.
I agree.
He might move them up to like a 4 or 5 seed, but I wouldn't put them in anything more than that.
Yeah, I agree. And you have Toronto number 1. I have Boston. I just think that Brad Stevens is maybe the best coach in the NBA, and I really like the roster that Boston has assembled over the last couple of years. Kyrie and Gordon Hayward being healthy is huge. They were a good team even without those players.
Yeah, absolutely. And
so you would take Toronto, like if in a 7-game series you'd take Toronto over Boston?
With Kawhi's elite defense, I think they could do it. They could pull it off.
You think Lowry could take care of Kyrie?
I think so. I think he can because that's his strongest game. I mean, he stopped LeBron in the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I think the only teams that we differ, you had the Hawks in there and I had Charlotte, but I think the rest of the playoff seedings in the East we had at least, maybe not in the right order, the same order, but the same teams. Any surprises? Any team in the East that you didn't pick to make a playoff spot that you could see possibly getting in?
To be quite honest, no.
What about the Cavaliers? Do you think they have a chance?
Without LeBron, I don't see them making it.
Okay. What about a team like the Knicks? Do you think they might make the playoffs?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We'll see how far Kevin Knox can take them. That's going to be an interesting storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you say we talk about the Western Conference after a short break?
Yeah, okay. No, yeah, sounds good. We'll talk about the top 8 teams that we think will make the playoffs in the Western Conference when we get back to you right after this.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC podcast, basketball podcast. Of course, Marc Souza here with my good friend Jeff. We just talked about the NBA
Good
preseason.
friend?
Yeah,
We're friends?
We're friends, man.
All right, that
We're
sounds
friends.
awesome. All right,
we did
cool.
it.
We did it.
We made it. So, NBA preseason under our belt. Our way too early Eastern Conference playoff seeding predictions. Now we're going to move to the West. The Western Conference, obviously the biggest mover and shaker in the offseason was LeBron James to the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm interested to see if he makes Jeff's list for playoff teams. However,
Spoiler alert, I do, but what seed will they be in?
yeah, that is the question, isn't it? So, let's start off, Jeff. Your number 8 seed, barely squeaking into the playoffs, not in the lottery. Do you even want to be the 8th seed in the West? I think you'd rather be a lottery team. Who is your team?
Well, you might be surprised by this, but my 8th seed...
Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, guys. That might not be forever. That probably will never happen, actually.
In our lifetime, maybe.
Do you think they'll never make it? So just going on to that?
Not now.
Yeah, it just doesn't
Check back in 2020.
They have the worst. I feel like their management is just like the Cleveland Browns management. Just
Probably.
absolutely
So who do you got at 8?
Well, at 8, I have... You know what? I'm going to go New Orleans Pelicans.
The New Orleans. Is it New Orleans? Is it New Orleans or is it Nolans?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong guy. But I got the New Orleans Pelicans as the 8th seed.
Okay. So
This
Rondo's
is Anthony Davis's final year, basically, with the team, and I think he brings them to an 8th seed, barely making it to the playoffs.
And then to get crushed in the
Warriors.
first round again.
Oh yeah, spoiler: Warriors is my number 1. It's probably your number 1 too, ain't it? Should we just say that right now?
I guess we'll see.
Oh, I'm gonna be so shocked when he says it's the Warriors.
So
Continue.
my number 8 seed is the Portland Trailblazers.
Okay.
Lillard and McCollum. I don't know.
Well, that's my 7th seed.
They're probably going to get swept again in the first round, right? So
my 7th seed is the Trailblazers.
Yeah,
they're going to go a little bit past the worst seed in the league.
They seem to this seems to be their ceiling, right? Like they're just going to be a 7, 8, 6 seed maybe, and then just lose in the first round. So I have Portland at number 8. You have New Orleans, Nolans, or
whatever you
New Orleans.
feel like. Just pick one.
Who do you have at 7? You had Portland?
I said Portland, yeah.
Okay.
So who do you have at 7?
I have the Oklahoma City Thunder.
That low?
Yes.
That's incredibly low.
I think that's actually high, if I'm being honest.
You think they're gonna barely edge into the playoffs?
Yeah, I do. I don't know. I mean, I like Russell Westbrook. They're an interesting team. I wonder if he's going to be able to stay healthy through the full year because of the way he plays. He just plays so hard night in and night out. You can't question the effort for that guy. So, yeah, I have them at number 7. So you have Portland at 7. Who do you have at 6?
At 6, I'm going to go Minnesota. I'm going to go the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Minnesota Timberwolves at number 6. Is that with Jimmy Butler?
Without Jimmy Butler. I think Karl Anthony Towns and Wiggins are going to gain a good chemistry with their mutual hatred for Jimmy Butler, and that will take them to the 6th seed. I don't see them getting past the first round, but I do see a late playoff entry for them.
Okay. So Minnesota, your 6th seed. My 6th seed is the Pelicans.
Oh, wow, you have them that high up.
Yes. So you have them
I have them at 8, so you have them at 6.
For basically the same reasons as you said.
Because Anthony Davis is most likely final year. Because there's talks he might be going to Los Angeles.
Because Anthony Davis is that good that he can lead a team to the 6th seed in the West in a very tough conference. I think he's just that good. So I expect him to actually have a MVP caliber season this year. I'll say right now that he probably finishes in the top 3 or 4 in voting.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So that's your 6th seed. I said my 6th seed.
Yeah, yours was Minnesota.
My 7th seed, or I'm sorry, 5th. Excuse me. Okay, so I think it's gonna be Denver Nuggets.
We agree.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I'm shocked about that. I didn't expect you to even have Denver in your lineup.
Denver Nuggets are also my number 5 seed.
Like, I don't have the Spurs making the playoffs. Do you?
No.
No? Okay, good.
I don't.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I was torn between if the
I could
Spurs
see him making it.
Yeah,
but I don't have him.
I don't have him in my list either. I was torn between the 5th seed being either the Nuggets or the Spurs edging in like that, but I picked the Nuggets.
So Denver
They just have a young team, and their combination of youth and speed could really put a difference in.
They need to get better defensively for sure, but they do.
They can score quickly.
You just said it. I feel like they have a few players that this could be their breakout year. So I'm gonna say that they definitely. I don't know if they'll surprise anyone, but I mean they've been a pretty solid team. But yeah, I have them at number 5. I think they make the next step. They probably lose in the first round, but they'll at least be in the dance.
My 4th seed is the Thunder.
Okay, so you have them higher than I do. I have them in 7. You have them in 4. So you have them in a first round home playoff series. Mm-hmm. Tell me why you're higher on the Thunder than I am.
Russell Westbrook is still there. Paul George is still there. And you only need a handful of guys to really do well for a playoff run. And Russell Westbrook is in his best plays in his prime at the moment. It's hard to stop him, and I think he's going to help the team get to that point.
Do you think that the Thunder, you putting the Thunder at 4, is the high, like their ceiling? Do you think that they can get
absolutely.
Okay, so you don't see them like getting in the top 3 unless like a major injury happened or something like that.
Unless Russell Westbrook averages 55 points, 23 rebounds, and 17 assists a game. I think
he's actually done that like in a game.
What, 53 points, 22 rebounds, and 17 assists?
He had a game. What was his high last year? He had that one triple double.
I don't think he had that, but I don't think it was that high.
That's a DraftKings winning
I will eat
lineup.
my own shoe if that was actually a stat. If 55 points, 22 assists, and 17 rebounds. Wait, no. Let's reverse that.
Regardless.
55 points,
Just
22 rebounds, and 17
Just
assists.
say ridiculous points, ridiculous rebounds, ridiculous assists.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right, though. I think I kind of overlooked Paul George and Russell Westbrook. I think I have them at the low. So I think you have them at their ceiling, which is 4, and I have them at their...
7, you said.
Yes, 7. So I have them
Alright.
at their basement.
I think we agree on the third. I think our third seeds are going to agree.
Well, you didn't ask me who my number 4 seed is.
Oh,
You're
I'm
jumping
sorry,
the gun.
continue.
God, you seem to do this quite often. This
Yeah,
guy only thinks about himself. We became good friends.
Whoa! Whoa, you're making some assumptions
We
here.
became good friends, and now it's like all about him.
Wow, wow, that's just... Wow.
Friendships are a two-way street, bud.
I know that, but you just turned on it like crazy.
So my number 4...
So you doing charity.
And I hate saying this.
Oh, you hate doing charity?
The Los Angeles Lakers are my number 4 seed.
Okay, I was torn between them and Thunder for 4. I put the LA Lakers at 3.
Yeah, so I think that obviously LeBron I think that LeBron's the kind of player that you could have me, you, and 2 random people on the street, and we could probably get the 8th seed, at least in the Eastern Conference. So LeBron with some good...
All we do is pass the ball to LeBron.
Yeah.
He'll average like 100 points a game.
Yeah, we'll just stand out around the 3-point line. And,
I guess we can also shoot some garbage shots to see if they go in.
I mean, we can't be worse shooters than Rajon Rondo.
I mean, yeah, I did play basketball for a good 12 years in like AAU style, so I guess I have some experience.
See, so LeBron, the 2 of us, and 2 random people on the street could make the 8th seed in the East. So I have the
Bob
Lakers.
Bob and Dave will join us.
Yeah. So
Whoever Bob and Dave are, and any Bobs and Daves out there, join us for us 4 and LeBron in the Western Conference, and we'll make the 8th seed apparently.
Yeah. So I have him
You
at
don't need
4.
to know the rules of basketball either. Just calm down.
LeBron's got a couple better supporting cast members than us. So let's say that they go to the number 4 seed. Who do you have at number 3?
I said and you weren't even listening. I said they were my number 3 team. The Los Angeles Lakers were my number 3 team.
You are right. I'm allowed to make mistakes.
Oh, and I got so much garbage for what I was all about me, but apparently...
Yeah, you're just being selfish.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
so your 3 is the
God,
Los
I'm gonna
Angeles
call
Lakers.
your mother.
You have anything to add about the Lakers other than what we kind of talked about? Okay, let me ask you this. Would you be shocked if the Lakers did not make the playoffs? Like, would you be floored?
Actually, I would be.
Yeah?
Because LeBron's a different type of animal.
You're not concerned with the conference. Like, we know LeBron just dominated the East, but, like, we're talking about a Western Conference schedule. He's going to have to play
I
the
wouldn't
Warriors.
be floored, but I would be surprised.
He's going to be in the same division as the Clippers, the Warriors. I mean, they're
and don't forget the Kings.
and Portland. So,
but I think it's one of those things where it's like, oh, LeBron didn't make the playoffs. Huh, that's interesting. Like, that's the reaction for me. I'm not like, oh, no way type feeling. I'm like, oh, wow, that's... Well, then why'd they get him type of feel to him?
yeah. I think I said Portland. I meant Phoenix. Excuse me. So, who is your number 2 seed?
The Houston Rockets.
I already noticed a huge omission that we're going to talk about.
Well, I already said spoilers. Warriors are my number 1 seed.
Okay. So, Houston Rockets are your number 2.
Yeah. Hard to deny them.
Did you say hard deny them?
Oh, I wasn't even thinking that. I want you to leave the room.
Yeah, that was a nice. I think
No,
it was
wasn't.
unintended.
No, it wasn't.
Pun,
It wasn't nice. The pun was terrible. How dare you?
They're hard to deny.
I'm offended. I'm hard offended.
So they're your number 2. I didn't tell you who my number 3 was. I actually jumped the gun because I was so shocked that this team isn't in your top 8, and they're my number 3, the Utah Jazz.
Oh, wow.
The Utah Jazz just straight disrespected.
I completely looked over them. Can you blame me?
Okay, so would you put them in your top 8?
Switch them to my number 8 seed.
Okay, so New Orleans is out for you. Utah's in. So
Yes.
Anthony Davis, what you said about Anthony Davis carrying them to the playoffs is just utter crap.
I wouldn't say that. I would just say that I forgot about the Utah Jazz.
You sure you don't want to put them higher?
No, 8 seed.
Okay.
I don't see them making that the great regular
Donovan
season.
Mitchell,
I just don't see them having that regular season like they did last
the
year.
Stifle Tower.
Can you let me finish speaking? That's rude. I'm just saying that they can't have the same kind of run they had last year.
They can.
I'm saying they can't. So,
I mean, they can, but I understand what you're saying.
well, I'm
you don't
saying
see
they
it
can't.
happening. Okay.
Yeah.
So Houston, we have Houston
You
number
had
2.
Utah at number 3?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot higher than anything.
I think 3 is their high. I mean, I'm definitely putting them at their ceiling.
3 is their ceiling.
But I think that they're
definitely.
going to be. I would bet that they're in the top 6 for sure. Top 6 at least.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. We'll see. We'll see who the number 1 pick is for you. Yeah, I'm sure you didn't omit this team though.
Well, it's the Sacramento Kings. No, I'm kidding. It's the Golden State Warriors for obvious reasons. Do I even need to explain this?
Yeah. No, you don't.
Who's your number 1?
The Golden State
Wow, shocker.
Warriors.
When you
They're
have a
going to win the
team
NBA Finals
yeah,
unless
when you have
they
a
get
team that
an
can
injury.
be mistaken for the Olympic team, that's yeah.
When DeMarcus Cousins is your 5th best player, you're a good basketball team.
Yeah, you can even say he's the 6th.
If DeMarcus Cousins is your 3rd best basketball player, you're an
If he's their
amazing basketball team.
If he's their 2nd best, they're a good team still.
I will say, having watched DeMarcus Cousins play many times, he is a talent. Can he be maddening at times? Of course, but he is a heck of a basketball player.
He does get angry awfully easily.
Yes, short temper, short fuse with that guy, easy to get under his skin, but the talent is there. And I think in a relaxed environment, like winning 72 games or so, I think that his emotions will be tempered most of the time. Of course, he'll have a technical foul here and there, but there is no way that DeMarcus Cousins can derail the Golden State Warriors from winning another championship.
Unless he tries to decapitate all of them.
Yes, unless he does that. That's
All right,
interesting.
So we're going to take another short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about anything else we feel like to talk about basketball. Probably we can talk about our worst teams. We can talk about unexpected playoff appearances. Whatever comes to our mind, we will be right back right after this.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast. We've talked about the preseason matchups. We've talked about way too early, premature postseason predictions. And now we have a little bit of fun news. Apparently Kyrie Irving has apologized for saying that the earth is flat. You have that with you right there, Mark?
Yes. So Kyrie Irving, as we all remember his comments about the earth being flat, which were scrutinized heavily. he came out and he was at the Forbes Under 30 Summit in Boston. And at the conference, he apologized for saying that. He said he didn't realize the effect his comments would have. He explained that he was big into conspiracy theories in February of 2017 when he made his comments.
That's not a conspiracy theory.
I mean,
is it?
Yeah, of course it's a conspiracy theory, right?
It's just a...
It's like chemtrails and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you go down those rabbit holes on YouTube, you can spend a lot of time doing that.
I still don't know how there's a flat Earth society, to be completely honest.
Oh, there is. It's alive and kicking.
I know it's around.
And he said, even if you believe in that, don't come out and say that stuff. That's for intimate conversations because perception and how you're received, it changes.
Who is going to agree with you on that?
I'm actually a smart blank individual,
wait.
He said.
He cursed?
Yeah, I mean...
Smart effing individual?
No. You know, I don't know. Can I say that? Or
let's see. What's it say? I'm trying to read this.
Yeah.
He says he's a smart rear-end individual.
There you go. So, he didn't realize the impact his comments would make, and he's a big conspiracy theorist. He went on to explain, I'm sorry about all that, for all the science teachers and things like that. So,
yeah. People that spent their entire lives learning this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did go to Duke, which is a big school. I say that's
Did he really go, though?
He went for basketball.
I mean, when you're a one and done, like how much?
And leave as a freshman?
Yeah.
Never mind then. I thought he was there for 2 at least.
No. So.
Do you think they should end the one and done rule?
I think that players should be able to come out from high school, and if teams make bad mistakes on them, then that's on them. I don't know. That's
there's been so many high school basketball players that come to NBA and not performed well and kind of have their lives ruined by it.
I do think that there should be I think that there should be more leniency. So if a player enters the NBA draft and doesn't get drafted, I think he should be able to go back to school and finish, or at least play another year.
Like in high school or college?
Yeah,
that makes sense.
In college, the one and done. So like if a guy goes into the draft, he doesn't get drafted, I think he should be able to re-enter school because he didn't actually, even though he declared, he didn't actually lose his amateur status, if that makes sense.
That is true. I see what you're getting at there. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if something like that changes, but they're not going to change the one and done. The NBA and college basketball are so intertwined now that that rule is not going away. So another topic I wanted to briefly discuss was LaMelo Ball was ejected from a game in Lithuania on Monday after sparking a brawl. So
he kind of slapped someone in the face.
Yeah. So what I'm getting at here isn't necessarily LaMelo Ball, but it's the Ball family, and the Ball family and LeBron and the Lakers. Do you think that Lonzo Ball, it sounds like Lonzo Ball might be in a bench role for the Lakers. It sounds like he might be coming off the bench. Do you think that the chemistry there, do you think that LeVar Ball will be affected? Do you think that he will, interrupt with team chemistry and just kind of be a thorn in the Lakers side this year?
Yeah, I do think he's going to be a sore side, but the question is for how long?
Yeah. Do you think he'll talk less or be less involved in public comments about the Lakers now that LeBron is there, or do you think that it won't change LeVar Ball at all?
Apparently LeVar Ball has kept quiet for the recent amount of months.
It's the off season.
But he usually just doesn't have an off switch.
That's true.
I guess we'll find out. It all comes down to when the season starts and how he feels and all that stuff.
Do you see the Lakers trading Lonzo Ball if his attitude or his family becomes a distraction?
He'll be gone if that's the case.
Really?
Yeah, he'll be gone.
Even though he's a young talent that they spent a number 2 pick on.
Yeah, if you have LeBron James, everyone else doesn't really matter.
Right. LeBron's getting older.
Hey, they traded away Anthony Bennett for nothing. A couple of pennies.
Yeah, so I see what you're saying. So yeah, I mean, the one and done rule, I know that you briefly talked about it. Did you think that was a positive addition to the NBA when they made that rule? Did you like high school players coming out?
I guess it depended on if there was like a generational talent like LeBron James or Kobe Bryant, but I think too many kids were getting out of high school just to be a millionaire in the NBA, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, absolutely. Last thing I wanted to ask you is, who will be this year's worst team in the NBA?
The Sacramento Kings. Drop the mic.
You think the Sacramento Kings will be, even though they are not going to be actively tanking because they do not have a number 1 pick?
Yes, because that's how Sacramento Kings work, yeah.
What about like the Memphis Grizzlies? I kind of see them being the worst, possibly.
Maybe the Memphis, Sacramento, King, Grizz combination of
What
two
about
teams.
the Hawks? I think, didn't you put them in your playoffs?
8.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, yes, I did. Oh, that was the East. Yes, I did put them at 8.
I think that they could possibly be one of the bottom 3 teams, but if they make the playoffs, then I will salute you.
Give me $1 million.
I will salute you, my friend.
No, I want money.
Well, I think that's all we got for today.
Yeah, thank you for joining us for the GSMC Basketball Podcast. Join us on Thursday where we continue talking when more preseason games come, and we'll have much more to talk about for more news and stuff, and we'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.